All right, so it's Damien from Marketing Food Online. So in this video, I'm actually going to cover a great topic, which a lot of you have asked about, tapping into Amazon's FBA or FBM program, and exactly what is better. Is it better to FBA or FBM a food product, or any product for that matter? And then what is the difference between FBM and FBA? And is it more expensive to have FBA or FBM? So we're going to dive into that, and I'm going to tell you exactly what this is on the back of my board here. We're going to get into that right now. All right, so welcome back. It is Damien from Marketing Food Online. As I mentioned in the introduction, we have a really informative video on FBA and FBM. Now, you're gonna wonder which is better and what exactly are these letters you keep spitting out, Damien? What do they mean? So if you're brand new to Amazon, if you're not familiar with these two different services, FBA is fulfillment by Amazon. And it actually means that you can take a product, put it into their warehouse, and they will pull it, pack it, ship it, and handle all of the customer service on the back end of the transaction, all the way through the transaction, and make sure the product gets to the customer and they handle everything. But it is not free. So the pros and the cons are going to be here on my board, and we're gonna figure out what is better if you use FBA and what is better if you use FBM. And I'm gonna dive into each one of these and explain from my own experience. We actually utilize FBM, which is fulfillment by merchant, meaning that I personally fulfill every single order that comes through. We use FBA actually for about 40 different items that are really good shelf-stable food products. They're actually snacks, granola type of products, nuts, and those types of things. But there's a reason that we use those particular products, and I'll dive into that in another video in regards to the pricing, the shelf stability of the product, and also the heat. Inside of these warehouses, you got to understand not every food product is actually beneficial putting it into FBA. So a lot of what we do is actually we get an order, we literally make the product fresh. A lot of it's cookies and baked goods and snacks that we make. We make it fresh and then we ship it directly to the customer. So we handle all of that on our end. Now, let's dive into Amazon FBM is better if slower moving products. If you have products that are not selling like 1,000 of them a minute, then slower moving products may be better for fulfillment by merchant, FBM. So for me, for instance, I have a huge variety of products, over 300 different items. There's different chocolate pretzels, there's cookies, there's bun cakes, there's a lot of baked goods. So there's a huge variety of those items. I can't really make those and shove them into a warehouse and then cross my fingers and hope, in a couple of days they sell, because we don't use preservatives in any of our products, so they go bad very quickly. So we have to ship them out once we make them. So for us, slower moving products, not necessarily for us as slower moving, but we have such a large variety. We get a lot of different items ordered at different time frames, so that works for us. Now, that is great if you are going to be selling, let's say 100 units a week, and you have the capabilities to really fulfill the order. If you're making the product, maybe you got to make it to order. And if you're not selling a lot of products, like 10,000, 1,000 units a day, then the slower moving items, that would be a better type of business model for you, is fulfillment by merchant, FBM, okay? You can ship and handle returns. Now, fulfillment by merchant means that you are taking on the responsibility for the entire transaction. Amazon customers are Amazon's customers. Even if they buy through you, the third-party seller, guess what? Amazon doesn't see it that way. They are customers on Amazon's platform, and you need to make sure that the order is taken care of. I can tell you I've had to replace multitudes of damaged cookies and baked goods, chocolate pretzels get broken. A lot of stuff handles on the other end of it that it's not very glamorous, but we handle all that ourselves. So if you can ship and you can handle returns, then FBM is for you, okay? Now, if you're just starting out, you're a mom and pop, husband and wife, kind of like our business. We have a couple of part-time people who help. As far as that's concerned, we're able to handle the volume that we do through Amazon. Now, we have 6 stores, so you have to compile eBay, Etsy, and everybody else. But Amazon, we have the capabilities to do that, so this is not a problem. You have a support for your customers. Now, that's also on the rest as far as touching on the shipping and returns. You also have to handle emails from customers, complaints, or even compliments. Special orders, you have to handle those. So any correspondence that you're going to have with your customers, and you have the capability to take care of that. Maybe you have one person you hired to handle all of the internet correspondence, then that's going to be good for you. Then FBM is going to be better, okay? Now keep in mind though, the one thing about fulfillment by merchant, it sounds really good because you can have a lot more control over things. Because this is a really good platform or good business model if that's the direction you want to go. But you have to pay those people. So if you have somebody sitting at a desk and they're handling customer support for you, and Amazon's not doing that, you're still having to pay them. Because when I get into this list, we're going to talk about fees. because it ain't free, that's for sure. Okay. All right, so you want a larger profit margin. So now remember, the fees that are involved with fulfillment by Amazon increase dramatically. If you want a larger profit margin, then you have the capabilities to have a lower fee at the transaction point. So when someone's purchasing something from you and you're fulfillment by merchant, I'm the one doing the fulfilling, then I'm making more money, but then again, I have to pay somebody. I'm gonna have somebody either help me at the desk, I'm gonna have somebody, shipping the product. You gotta take into consideration your employees and that payroll factor, okay? Now, the size of your items are large. Now that is something when I dive into the one fulfillment by Amazon is gonna really freak you out, because I'll give you an example of what I've had to experience. The size of the items are large, so physically if your items are huge, everything you put into Amazon's warehouse takes up space. That space is expensive. So the larger the product is, the more it's going to cost, okay? Now, maybe also if you own a warehouse yourself and you have the capabilities to store your products or the capabilities to produce your product. For us, our commercial kitchen is not relatively that too big compared to much larger kitchens, but the kitchen that we have costs money. So do you have the money to actually have a warehouse and fulfill your orders, supply the orders, and store the orders, and then pull them when you need it? Maybe you're not making your product like we do, but maybe you're buying a bunch of it, but you have to store it somewhere. So you have to pay for a warehouse. That doesn't come into play when you're gonna pay for that over here too for FBA. So you can handle the logistics. Basically, can you ship? Can you get the box to the shipper if it's UPS, USPS, FedEx? All of the logistics on the back end of the transaction, once it's made, you pick the product, put it in a box, tape it up, print the shipping label, put the label on the box. I mean, all of that stuff that goes along with it, that's logistics. Can you do that? If you can, then FBM is best for you, okay? Next up is space for your boxes, shipping and physical. So on top of having a warehouse so you can put the product in, you're going to need space for shipping boxes, the cartons, the tape, maybe even tables, everything that goes along with actually shipping the product. If you don't have the space, then this may be the better model for you, okay? So if you have the physical space needed to do it, fulfillment by merchant is the way to go. Now, with that being said, let's hop over to fulfillment by Amazon. All right, so the next one up is fulfillment by Amazon. Now, this is where it can be beneficial if you follow within these certain guidelines, but also it costs much more money. So let's go into it. FBA fees. Now, Amazon FBA is better if FBA fees are higher if you have the ability to pay the higher fees. Now, what does that mean, Damien? So here's how it works. So if I have the product, I send it to Amazon, they're going to put it on a shelf. The shelf space that your product takes up, they're going to charge you for that. Now, there is a storage space for the time frame that the product sits in the warehouse. They're going to charge you for that as well. Now, if you have a product that potentially expires, like I have a lot of food items, snacks and things, they have a certain period of time that up into the expiration date, if it's in inventory and it's not sold, they will pull it and throw it away. They're going to charge you a fee to pull the product off the shelf and drop it into a trash can, or pull the product off the shelf and ship it back to you. They're going to charge you a fee for that, okay? So these are fees that will come into play if you're willing to pay for them. Now, the other fees are, of course, the FBA fees themselves, what it costs to actually fulfill the order, because they have to pay an employee, again, to pull the product, the shipping, which by the way comes out of your pocket, the shipping that's going to be put into the product itself, and then they're going to ship it out. Now, if there's any issues on the back end, they're going to call up and say, hey, Amazon, the item's broken. They're going to do the customer service for you too. But guess what? You're still paying for that, okay? So FBA fees, if you have the ability to absorb those fees and you don't have the staff and you don't have all of this, then this is the better one for you. Now, you can't provide full customer service through the order. Now, what I mean by that is just what I had just mentioned at the end of my first part of this, is that they're going to handle everything on their end. So if you're not in a position to pay somebody to be there to handle email problems, questions, if it's got complaints, if it arrives late, if it didn't arrive at all, it gets lost, you gotta handle that, you gotta figure it out. If you're paying somebody to do that, instead of having Amazon do it, because they'll be happy to do it, but again, they're gonna charge you for that, then FBA is the way to go. A lot of small startups, if you're like a wife and husband that's starting, you don't have a staff of 20 people that you're paying to handle all these different aspects of logistics, customer service, refunds and damages and all that, okay? So FBA will take care of that for you. If the size is small enough, the weight and the price is higher enough and gives you a great margin. Now, this is what I'm going to talk to you about. I'll give you an example. Small in size, the larger the product, the more space it takes up, within Amazon and the weight, that's going to skyrocket these fees. I'll give you an example. We actually had, I was looking to see if we have one here in the studio. I don't. We have a bag of trail mix that we had, and I first started out, I was actually selling it 1 pound bag at a time. The bag itself sold for around $16.99. It was a pretty big bag, and it was a gourmet trail mix and what have you. I put that into Amazon, but it cost over $6 to fulfill. 1 pound bag of trail mix, $6 they took. Now, from the $16 that I was selling it for, they took $6, left me with $10. Now, it also cost me money, by the way, when you ship a product and you ship 100 units, 1,000 units, or 10,000 bags of trail mix to FBA, guess what? They're going to charge you for that too. So UPS, obviously you got to ship it, they're going to charge you for the UPS shipment. So that also increases the per unit cost of my bag. At the end of the day, I was walking away with like about $2, I think it was, for that bag. It was not a good experience. But it's okay. It was good. It was kind of an experiment, and I was able to learn from it. So there's nothing wrong with that. Trust me, you need to learn from this stuff too. I can't lay out a whole entire plan, map, roadmap of everything that you particularly would need for your particular product, because everyone's product's different. Everyone's size, packaging, everything, every dynamic about the business is different. So I can't say one size fits all. But this was a really good learning experience. So the size of the package was 16 ounces. So here's what I did. I actually went down on the weight. I went to 14 ounces, the entire package, including the bag, everything, the whole weight of it, okay? The drop came down to $3.20 it cost for me to ship that product. Now I was putting in almost another $3 per unit in my pocket, so I was walking away with now about $5 a bag, and I was good with that. So the size of the product plus the margin, the price point, has to be really, really important, okay? Can't provide logistics on a large scale. So you're saying, yeah, you know what, Damon, I could do the logistics. I can ship out, 10, 15 a week, or 20 boxes a week, no problem. Okay, but think about the scaling of your business. What if you start shipping 20 boxes a day? Can you handle that? If you can't, well, Amazon has one of the world's best logistical program set into place on the planet, basically. Their warehouses are amazing. So the logistical end of it, when it's functioning properly, the logistical end of it is phenomenal. So they have the ability to fulfill 2,000 boxes a minute if they had to. So if you can't do that, well then FBA is better for you, right? Okay. Have no desire to ship stuff every single order. So that's one thing that I wish I could step away from, and we're trying to get that changed. I'm going to get somebody within our shipping department to do. I handle mostly all of the shipping myself through the boxes, and when my wife handles the actual production of the food or baked goods products, and then I handle all the shipping. So I don't really enjoy it as much as I used to, obviously nowadays, because we're picking up dramatically in our business. So if you have the ability to do that, if you want to be shipping things all day, it doesn't bother you, or you have someone that you hire, then that's okay. Then FBA is not for you. You can stick to fulfillment by merchant. But they'll handle all of the shipping, okay? Next up is items sell very fast. This is, again, a logistical question. If, again, you're selling a product that used to be 100 a week or maybe 100 a month, and you started selling 100 a day, that's a fast-moving product. That has what's called velocity behind it. So that fast-moving product will be better in Amazon's hands because they can knock that out like that, okay? Obviously, if you're not in a position to physically tape up the box of 100 units a day, well, then you need to probably think about fulfillment by Amazon. So this is some great basics and understanding of how FBM and FBA differ, the pricing, and what is more expensive. Is FBA more expensive than FBM, and so on. So you can get a good idea of what it costs and the time and everything else involved with it. Now, this is the first of 3 videos. I've got 2 more videos that I'm putting together. They'll be up shortly. To explain additional benefits and pros and cons to FBA and FBM, okay? So if this was helpful, definitely give us a big thumbs up. This is a great way to explain. The question is it better to FBA or FBM? And I actually go with FBM for right now. Some of the products that we have are FBA, or you can mix the two like I do, okay? And I'll see you guys on our next video.